Hey there, Resume Leslie here, and happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me for another round of live resume reviews. As you can probably tell, I'm in a different location. The life of an RVer requires some adaptability at times. I was having some internet struggles, so I had to come up with a quick fix. I think this works. There may be some noise in the background, and I apologize for that, but hopefully I will keep you captivated with these two live resume reviews, and we will just get started. To tell you a little bit about my history with doing resume reviews and actually doing live resume reviews, when I first started this business back in 2015, I had predominantly had experience in career services for colleges, and I wanted to really get more into a broad range of professionals. I wanted more experience. I wanted to get my eyes on more resumes, talk to more people at different levels across different industries, and even make some recruiter contacts. So one of the things I did was I got on the phone with as many recruitment firms that I could get on the phone with me, and I came across one that did regular career fairs in the Dallas area. They actually did monthly career fairs and sometimes multiple in a month in different locations around the DFW area. And I was able to get a gig with them where I came into each one of those monthly career fairs, set up a table, and offered free live resume reviews to any of the attendees who came through. And when I did that, it turned out kind of right away that my table got a lot of attention. I wound up with lines out the door for the whole 3-hour career fair. And in any given career fair, I would review somewhere between 40 and 50 resumes. I would just spend a few minutes with each person, ask them a little bit about what their pursuits and goals were, and then tell them a little bit about what I saw in their resume. And so I would, mark up their resume with some of my suggestions and then staple a business card to it and hand it back to them. And it was really a great way, not only for me to get good information and knowledge, but also to start getting business in those early stages. So that worked really well for me. And in the roughly 2 years that I did that with them, I calculated it this morning, I probably reviewed about 1,200 resumes in that time. And then of course I review hundreds of resumes in any given year ever since I started the business. So it's something that I have a lot of experience with. And one of the things I noticed just across all of these different professionals, across all of these different resumes that I reviewed, is that many of the mistakes that I see are common across all of these different people. And so I thought if I could bring live resume reviews to a platform like LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, it would be a great way to get in front of more people, show job seekers a real resume from another job seeker, and kind of give some critiques and some suggestions and some tips to make it better, so that if you happen to be making one of the mistakes that the person whose resume I'm reviewing is making, then you can see that and hopefully make that change. So that's kind of the purpose behind why I'm doing the live resume reviews, and I hope they're helpful. I hope you enjoy them. Let me just get started with resume number 1. If you were on the last live resume review, I had some technical difficulties, but I think I've got them worked out. So let's find out. I'm going to share my screen with you and turn that on, and boom, there we go. Okay, so taking a look at this resume, first thing I'll do is just make it a little bit bigger on the screen and scroll through slowly so you get a full sort of look at the resume. This was a real job seeker submitted resume. I just took the name and the contact information off the top, but everything else is a real resume submitted by a job seeker. So if you're interested in having your resume reviewed in one of these, feel free to reach out to me. You can DM me or send me an email to leslie@resumeleslie.com. And I would be happy to take a look at that and see if we can work you into the rotation, because this will be something that we'll be doing regularly. Okay, so that is sort of the look of the overall resume. The first thing that I see is that overall, the layout is really on the right track. It is clean. It's crisp. The lines are pretty nice. The text is not overwhelm the page. It's not difficult to read. There's some nice spacing between the lines and some nice spacing around the edges of the resume. So all of that is fantastic. Another good point is that this person starts off with a professional summary and skills section. And this is a really, really strong opener. It's really kind of necessary these days for an effective resume. You have to start with some sort of a profile or summary section that lets the reader know the big picture of what you have to offer. It's sort of like a snapshot of your professional value directly as it relates to the types of jobs that you'll be pursuing. So it's excellent that this person starts out this way. You'll see that the skills section is labeled separately, which is certainly something that you can do. But for a lot of professionals, that takes up valuable space on the page. So it's not necessary. You can include your skills right underneath your paragraph for your profile section, and you don't have to label it with the skills label. Of course, if you are someone who doesn't have a lot of experience and you need to take up a little extra room, you certainly can put that label on there. So it's really up to what works best for you. Taking a look at the content in this section, like I said, you want it to be high value. You want it to really be a snapshot of exactly what you bring to the table for the potential employer. So taking a look at this, reading through it, I see a lot of good language, and I see some places where there may be some room for improvement. So starting with a term like knowledgeable is perhaps maybe like a lower level. So if you're new in a career field, then knowledgeable might be a good word because you haven't had the opportunity to gain expertise or have any sort of specialization. So knowledgeable might be good. However, if you have more experience and you do have some expertise, then don't sort of come down in your language. You want to make sure that this is engaging and that it really represents the highest level that you have to offer. Taking a look, I see the term tech savvy. I love that. I think that's great. You can have a little bit of character and personality in your language too. That can be really effective. So this overall, I would say the top section is good. It's at least off to a good start without knowing exactly what the target is for this role or for this resume rather. I definitely think it's off to a good start. Coming down a little bit further here into the experience section, the biggest thing that sticks out to me right away is that there's no differentiation at all between the text other than the fact that there is some bullet pointing here, which is definitely a positive. But some other things that can really be beneficial is if you can use, for instance, bold in your job title or your company name. Either one of those will work. So let me bring back my menu here just so I can show you just the difference. So for instance, if I were to bold the employer name and then maybe put the job title in italics and maybe even uppercase, that works really well because it just sets it apart a little bit and it makes a busy reader able to more easily see and define what you have in your resume. Another point on these two that I'll point out, it looks like the job title is actually listed first in line with the date, and then the company name is below that. Typically, what I would recommend is actually the other way around, where the company name is on top in line with the date, and then the job title is below that. Mostly because of applicant tracking systems. So applicant tracking systems, or ATS, are the things that will filter through your resumes and match them up with the job description that it's submitted for. And those are set to certain parameters, and you want to try and just align with best practices to make sure that those parameters that are set will read your resume. And best practices are to have the company name first in line with the date, and then the job title underneath that. So other than that, it is fantastic that the dates here are aligned on the right-hand side. That makes it clean and really easy for a busy recruiter. The bullet points are fantastic. You definitely want to separate each different idea with bullet points. One thing that could make the job descriptions even more clear would be to sort of section them out and have a top section that's a short paragraph that says the overall idea of what the job or what they were hired for. And then the bullet points can be more specific things about what you did in the role or how specifically you went about your job. And then even, and this is really important, bring out achievements. So the entire job description is pretty bland. There's nothing that draws my eye to anything in particular. But if there are achievements listed in here, results that can help set you apart from other candidates, that needs to be somehow set apart, either with, like I said, bold before. You can do a couple of different formatting things, whatever you decide to do. Just bring attention to your results and achievements. Reading this resume, I'm just not compelled to look in any one place for anything in particular. So if I'm a busy recruiter looking at hundreds of resumes for a job, I'm probably going to have my eyes glaze over and skip it and not really read anything else. So I would say that there's a lot of strong things about this resume. The top really starts off strongly, but there is a lot more that can be done just simply from a formatting standpoint and also from a content standpoint with the job descriptions to make sure that you are leading the reader's eye and guiding their attention to your most important pieces of information. So that is resume number 1 here. Let me go ahead and switch over to resume number 2. Perfect. All right. So I'll do the same thing where I'll just make the resume a little bit bigger here and scroll down and let you take a look. Just kind of getting an overall feel for what the resume looks like. I talk a lot about how your resume formatting is kind of like a first impression. Even before someone reads a single word of your resume, they kind of get a feel for their impression of it. And that's a lot based on the formatting. So I like to just give a once over real quick to let you take a look at it. And then I'll go ahead and bring my menu back up here just in case I need it. So again, job seeker submitted resume. It starts with a professional summary. Although I do see right at the top here a typo, and that is something that, especially if it happens right away, right at the top, can really be sort of a success killer in your job search journey. So you want to make sure that you have your typos, especially in a heading like this, especially right at the top. You don't want to have those little mistakes. So that is something that actually just jumped out at me right now. So I wanted to point that out. But this is someone that does start with a professional summary, which again is good. In this case, taking a look at the content, I would say it looks to be much more focused on lots of little specific pieces of skills. And that is not really the right type of content that you want for this area of your resume. So remember, you really want to have that big picture, high level snapshot of your value sort of idea when you come into the professional summary. I will say, given that this is sort of an engine mechanic, engineering driven, very technical sort of role that this person has obviously been in and is going towards, that those resumes do lend themselves a little bit more to some more detail maybe than other resumes do, because just of the nature of those jobs, there's so much technical skill that you have to be sure that you convey. So I understand the importance of having those details in there, but I think this resume goes a little too heavy on that. Even with an engineer or someone with those more technical requirements in their roles, especially at the top, you want to make sure that you're staying more high level on what it is that you're telling the employer. Moving down into the work history. So this is just something quick, but it really is helpful, you want to have your dates aligned all the way over on the right-hand side. So that's something that helps the recruiter who's busy and just wants to see what they need to see as quickly as they need to see it. You make their jobs a heck of a lot easier by aligning your dates over on the right-hand side, and that makes them like you more, and that's exactly what you want. But also the applicant tracking systems, the ATS, are typically programmed to look there for the dates. So you want to make their lives easier too, even though they're just AI. You want to make it as easy as possible for you to be successful in the applicant tracking system, as well as with an actual human recruiter. So make sure to align your dates on the right-hand side. And then coming into the description of this job, so I see lots and lots and lots of bullets, and actually really one bullet and a ton of sub bullets, and it even goes on to the next page with just a bunch of sub bullets. And this I see a lot from folks in these types of roles who are just brilliant with what they do, and they have so much knowledge and so much technical skill, and it's difficult to separate out the most important pieces, but that really is what's necessary. So a lot of times with professionals in these situations where you have these important technical skills, you can create a portfolio that you can offer as sort of a supplementary secondary document, or even bring into an interview that has more of the details in it about any given technical project or engineering project or anything that you've worked on, any of the technical skills and machinery and software, anything like that that could kind of just go on for pages and pages. It doesn't have to all get into the resume. So I encourage you to spend some time with that stuff. And I would encourage this job seeker to spend some time with this set of data and figure out, okay, high level, 10 seconds, what's the most important thing for somebody to know about you? And then whatever else is still important but doesn't have to be in there in that first reading, still keep it separated out and create a portfolio for yourself. That is an excellent way to elevate yourself above other candidates, keep your resume highly relevant, but still have that backup content and information that you can bring to the table in an interview, or even send to someone after you've sent your resume. So that's really the biggest thing. You can't have, a full page long bullet pointed section for your job description. So that's the biggest thing with this resume, is just making sure that you are not including too much. You're only including exactly what they need. As you can see down here, if you take a look, the resume goes on for 3 pages, which is certainly acceptable for some professionals, and it may be necessary for some professionals. Absolutely. I'm not saying it's not, but most professionals that I've worked with have not needed 3 pages. So anyone with a 3-page resume, I just encourage you to challenge your thinking on that and see if you can't go back and figure out some places and some things that may not be 100% high level, important, necessary to be on there. All right. So I hope you found those 2 resume reviews helpful. I will definitely continue doing this. I think I'm going to try out a few different days to figure out what works best for people. Feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what time works best for you. That would be super helpful. I'll probably put out another poll on LinkedIn as well. So if you're not following me on LinkedIn, if you're seeing this somewhere else, be sure to follow me on LinkedIn. You can just find me at Resume Leslie, and that would be great. Okay, the last thing I want to tell you before we get out of here today is that my Resume Redo Masterclass closes tonight. So enrollment closes today. It's your last opportunity to get your hands on this sort of first time availability course that shows you my step-by-step process that I use, that I've used with over 600 clients to help them have a better job search, get success, get the interviews that they deserve, and the recruiter attention they deserve. It closes tonight at midnight. You can find it at resumeleslie.com/redo. Thank you again for joining me. I have enjoyed this, and I will see you soon. Bye.